Right now it's 12:30, so if you're in this room, you are in the Thrively sponsor session. And from Thrively, we have Girish Venkat and Jane Patterson, and they're going to talk a little bit more about what they do. So you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, you want to give a couple of minutes?
Yeah, we can wait a little bit.
Okay, so we'll get started at 12:32. Crystal, is that okay?
Yes, you're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you. Firstly, RAPSA, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for joining this session. So if you are wondering who you are listening to, my name is Girish Venkat. I'm not an educator. I keep saying that to everyone, and I'm a parent first. And I have been a serial entrepreneur. Thrively is my sixth startup. So this is a very personal journey for me. One of the things I should state that before I kind of go into what we will be talking about in this session. RAPSA's mission is changing act risk to act promise. Okay, and hopefully you will see in the next 20-25 minutes how Thrively can facilitate that. So Thrively started as a personal journey for me as a dad watching my son grow up. So this is a very personal story for me. One of the things I was very clear about when my son was growing up is not to reduce him into a letter grade in school. I always talk about it, right? What's the kid's identity in a school, right? You're an A grader, you're a B grader, you're a gifted kid. That means, we are telling the 95% of the other kids that you are not gifted. And you're a special education kid. So we end up bucketing all the kids, take the self-esteem out of the child, and the kids go through a lot of challenges. So I didn't want my son to be reduced to a letter grade in school. So the things that came to my mind, especially when my son was kind of going from elementary to middle school, how do I help my son understand who he is, what his strengths are? We are good at telling kids what they're not good at, what they should be good at, but we don't tell them how awesome they are in who they are, right? Schools are based on a deficit model, and parents are equally guilty of that, all going after, how they want their kids to get that A grade, right? So, as you all know, 98% of the kids lack self-awareness. If you go ask the kids, who are you? That's a very loaded question for them, right? Uh, and even if you ask adults, who are you? Most likely, most of the adults will say what they do, not who they are. Kids have a larger problem describing themselves as to who they are. So how do I help my son understand who he is, what his strengths are? How do I help my son explore his aspirations? My son was big into video games, and I hate video games, so typical parent problem. But that was his aspiration. So how do I help him with that? And then how do I expose my son to all the enrichment out there? We all know exposure to the right opportunities at the right time can be life altering, right? And how many times you as an adult look back and say, gosh, if I was exposed to those things, my life trajectory would have been different. So that is what led to starting Thrively. As I was researching for Thrively, one of the fascinating things I learned about human brain, I don't know many of you know this fact, all humans are born with the same number of brain cells. So all of us in this room, Einstein, Picasso, Michelangelo, by the way, we are in a great club. We are all born with the same number of brain cells. As the brain gets stimulated, the connections between the brain cells increases, and more the connections, more information the brain can process. It just so happened, Einstein got, more stimulated than many of us, right? By the way, when we talk about at risk to at promise, one of the things I talk about is, you know, 90% of the people who have been successful in life, 90% of them, they all did very poorly academically. And Einsteins and Beyoncé's and Muhammad Ali's, all of them would have been classified as at-risk kids. And they were, because they were all dyslexic, ADHD, and all that, and they would have been classified as at-risk kids. And today we celebrate them, right, as to who they are. So we as parents and educators, when I drop my kid at 8 o'clock, pick them up at 4, 8 hours of enrichment at school, continued enrichment at home, we can create many, 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 many more geniuses. So Thrively was founded on a core philosophy that every child, I want to underline that, every child has a genius and they deserve to thrive. As long we stop bucketing our kids, okay, and then, and start looking at the kids, who they are, and, we will be able to transform their lives. And by the way, if you, one of the interesting stat I would like to share, the kids spend anywhere from 10,000 to 12,000 hours from K to 12, 7,500 hours inside the classroom, and anywhere from 3,000 to 4,500 hours outside the classroom. Their summer activities, their weekend activities, their after school activities. What have we done to our kids? We have reduced them to a number, their GPA, their ACT score, right? How do we look at the holistic view of the child and help every child thrive in life? How do we look at the holistic view of the child and help every child thrive in life? And that's the journey, I'm going to, unravel over the next 20 minutes here. A couple of things I would like to state before I kind of show how we are facilitating that, how we are actually trying to facilitate the RAPSA's mission of, changing at risk to, at promise, a reality. By the way, as I think I told you already, one of the stat, 90% of the people who are successful in life, they all did very poorly academically. There is zero correlation between grades and success in adult life. There is also an awesome research done by Stanford, Harvard, and Carnegie Mellon. They looked at people who are successful and happy in workforce, and the research come to the conclusion that academic content only constitutes to the 15% of its success. Academic content only constitutes 15% of the success, and skills 85%. And I keep reminding educators, what have we done in school? We have reversed that, right? So that's the journey. We're going to unpack and help every of your child in your school, in your district, thrive in life. So I'm just going to share this slide here. This is what the Thrively platform is all about. So there are 5 core components to the Thrively platform, as you can see here, and it all starts with knowing your students. Literally, I have done 3,500 presentations till date, and my heart bleeds and I choke up every time I tell the educators, we are teaching our kids without knowing who they are. What do we know about our kids outside of their academic grades and attendance record? Can every teacher say, I know my kids' strengths, I know how they learn, I know their habits, I know their interests, I know their aspirations, I know their personality. So on the other side, this applies very well for the kids, especially at risk, right? And special ed kids. So every kid feels, I have talent. I belong in the classroom when they don't feel like they don't belong in the classroom. I'm respected and valued. I have a contribution to make. By the way, research shows kids are 30 times more likely to be engaged when they think educators know their strengths. The biggest problem kids have is my teachers don't know me. And when they grow up, they say their parents don't know them. So what Thrively does in 45 minutes, which you will see, is put your kids front and center in their learning and make parents and educators learning facilitators. Remember, it takes a village to help kids thrive. So it is not just kids getting to know themselves, the educators getting to know them, their parents getting to know their kids better. So we all become facilitators in their journey of success. and being happy, right? So the first part of the Thrively journey is just to get to even know students better. The second part of the journey is how do we help every kid find their passion and purpose in life? If you follow Sir Ken Robinson, late Sir Ken Robinson, he talks about what you are good at and what you like to do. When they intersect, kids fly, right? So how do we help every kid find their passion and purpose? By the way, kids don't know why they're learning what they're learning. And this is very true with, at-risk kids. I'm positive, and Beyonce was going through the school, the math teacher would be saying, oh, you're not doing good in math, or you're not doing good in calculus, you're not going to be successful in life, right? Because that's what we see. And promise, music teacher would not have known what Beyonce would have become in life, right? Okay, so how do we, once the kids find their passion and purpose, they're going to fly. Once we align what kids want to be to what they're learning, kids are going to enjoy learning, right? So that's what we do, help every kid find their passion and purpose. The third area is around skill development. Schools are great at teaching academic skills. How about social skills, emotional skills, life skills, next gen skills, right? So when your kid leaves your school, K-12, we know they know some science, math, English, history, but can every kid say, I'm a problem solver, I'm a creative thinker, I'm a skilled collaborator, I'm an effective communicator, I have resilience, tenacity, grit to take over my life, right? And that's what Thrively does, help every kid develop those 4 C's and, the grit and the tenacity. The fourth piece of our product is what we call authentic learning. K-12 education is reading from a book and reproducing from a book. We measure how well kids memorize and how well they puke in the test. So how do we expose our kids to authentic learning? How do we expose our kid to real life experiences, right? Especially the at-risk kids. That's basically what we need to do, right? So that's what authentic learning is. Call it passion projects, project-based learning, problem-based learning. Thrively makes it easy for you to infuse that in the classroom. And the last piece of the platform is, how do we help our kids to be developed as, empowered learners? I told you earlier, kids spend 10,000 to 12,000 hours from K to 12. So Thrively captures their 12,000 hours of their learning and celebrate that. Okay, so that's what the platform is trying to do. Helping you know your kids and kids getting to know themselves, helping them find their passion and purpose, developing all the skills that they need, expose them to all the authentic learning experiences, and become empowered learners. So how do we do that? Obviously, as you can see, Thrively is a comprehensive platform. So I won't be able to go through every piece of the platform, but I'm going to take next 10 minutes to kind of give you a glimpse of how we are doing that. Educators always know what need to get done. You can think of Thrively as how we are helping you do that. I always call this a collaboration. So what you're seeing here in this session is like, this is welcome Gene. This is you as a district administrator, you as a principal, you as a teacher. This is your view of the platform. And then, for this demo purposes, I've got Ava. So she's a middle school kid. In your school, in your district. So one of the things we talked about it, right? The first part of the Thrively journey, which is knowing your kids and kids getting to know themselves. So we at Thrively partnered with 2 of the 7 leading pediatric neuropsychologists here in California, Janine Beisman and Jamie Kimmel, and built out the industry first strength assessment for kids from ground up. We measured 23 strength areas from academic, analytical, problem solving, creative thinking, verbal acumen, social acumen, leadership. We are looking for the next UN Secretary General in your classroom, to a, Wolf Blitzer, to a Beyonce, to an Elon Musk. So it's 80 questions, 30 to 35 minutes. At the end of the strength assessment, every kid, I want to underline, every kid will be presented with a positive and uplifting profile of who they are. Not to drink our own Kool-Aid, having done 1 million assessments, I can tell you, one of the most surreal experience in teachers' lives and kids' lives. Teachers are smiling. Wow, I had no idea about this kid. And kids are going bonkers. As Ava completes the strength assessment, this is exactly what Ava gets to see. At the end of that 45 minutes, there will be a reveal, right? Hey, Ava, you're a strong leader with, impressive creativity. So we provide every kid an identity, right? And kids are going bonkers with that, right? And then, we show them their top 5 strengths. So we measure 23 strength areas. And we show their top 5 strengths, leadership and coordination, analytical, verbal skill. Those are her top strengths. And we also give a nice write-up for the kid. You are a natural leader who others look up to and seek out, right? You're talented and gifted in the art. The kids are like, whoa, that's me, that's me. You know, we hear this all the time, but they don't know how to articulate about it. If I go around this room and then say, who are you? You know, you will be thinking about like, what should I say there, right? Kids have a larger problem describing themselves. Now, if you talk to Ava in her sleep, yeah, I'm a strong leader with impressive creativity. And that's how she goes and says that. You know, this is a wonderful experience, especially with the cohort of kids you work with, at-risk kids, providing them a beautiful language of who they are, giving them all the assets that they could be leveraging to take over their learning is very surreal. Okay, so outside of the strengths, which is what we start with, so there are additional instruments in Thrively, three other assessments. So if you are familiar with Howard Gardner's work, multiple intelligences, you know, every kid has 8 intelligences. So this is another 45-minute assessment. At the end of it, we help you uncover your kids, their learning styles, whether they're kinesthetic learner, whether they're auditory learner, they're visual learner, their intrapersonal skills, their interpersonal skills. You know, again, I keep saying, we teach every kid the same subject, the same day, even though they're all different, and expect some magic to happen, and the magic never happens. And that is where we frustrate the kids. The example I always give is, you know, the kid is doing good in algebra, but not doing good in geometry. What does most of the parents will say? Oh, teacher is not good. My son was doing so good in algebra. But what's happening under the hood? Your kid is an auditory learner. He's having difficulty comprehending visual stuff and spatial stuff. That information for a teacher to know, for a parent to know, I need to take extra 3 minutes to scaffold the information because this kid needs a little bit more, you know, help to understand the visual spatial stuff. No kid will ever say, I suck at math, I'm not good at something, right? So understanding their learning styles and personalizing the instruction in the classroom. And my favorite is habits of mind. I don't know whether you guys are familiar with Benna Kalick and Arthur Koster's work. So this is 30 years of research, 16 habits that every kid need to develop for them to be successful and happy in life. I always keep reminding the educators, your kid may not have known quadratic equations or calculus by the time they leave high school, but if they have developed all these habits, they're flying, they're flying. Look at all this: managing impulsivity, persistence, striving for accuracy, open to continuous learning, questioning and problem posing. By the way, this is nothing to do with the kids. Adults also, they have to develop these habits for them to be good educators and kids to become thriving adults, right? Look at all these things. And I keep reminding educators, if you help your kids develop all these habits by the time they leave the school, they're going to take over the world. They're going to take over the world, right? And the fourth instrument we have in Thrive is what we call a personality assessment, trying to understand what kind of personality are they so that we can start helping them what career opportunities that you would be naturally will be good at or what you would love to explore. Remember, humans naturally gravitate towards what they're good at. It is just that few kids find out when they're 10. Most of the kids will try to find between 14 and 18. And you know, there are many who will not find it at all. So Thrively is trying to help accelerate that process, especially kids at risk, right? And also trying to understand, hey, what is it you want to become in life, right? What is your dream? Remember, the plumber son becoming a plumber, electrician son becoming electrician, that's all old story, right? We already talked about it. Every human has same number of brain cells, so they become whatever they want to become, right? And we also ask, what are your interests? What gets you excited to come to school, right? I wake up at 6:30 in the morning and come to school. 6 dimensions of your child, right? Their interests, their aspirations, their personality, their habits, their learning styles, and their strengths. Trust me, when I gave all these assessments to my son, I told to myself, whoa, I knew only 30% of my son. If any parent says they know their kid well, I want to talk to them. I always keep saying, we as educators and parents look at our kids through the lens of what we want our kids to be, not what kids want to be themselves, right? So just, you know, all these assessment helping kids unlock their assets and all that, the culture and climate of your school goes through the roof. Every kid feels empowered. Every kid is like, I'm going to take over my life. And that's what we do. You know, I'm just going to show a couple of other things because, you know, as I said, you know, it's a comprehensive platform. But, you know, as the kids are taking the assessment, the magic happens here. Okay, so when you click on your my class, right, you know, look what happens. This is not your grade book where you're seeing kids, you know, A grade, B grade, their attendance record. Instead, Bobby wants to become an architect. You know, Daphne wants to become an artist. Emily wants to become artist as well, right? So, and you as a teacher can click on the card here. Look right here. who the kid is, their strengths, their interests, their aspirations at your fingertips. Print this card, put it on the kid's desk, and see what magic happens there. I always keep telling, when you get a grade, that is just a snapshot of what you know at that point of time, right? That is not who you are. Because I get a D in one class, that didn't mean that I don't know calculus or I don't know math, right? But this is how you are, right? And telling, Daphne, hey, Daphne, you can do better in math. You are analytical. Use your analytical skill to uncover your talent, or you're driven. So you could put extra effort to make that happen. What do we do in school? You can do it. You can do it. Yeah, kids like after 3 years, like, I don't know what you're saying, but I can do it. I can't do it. So unlocking their assets and helping kids use their assets to work on the solution, you can see a transformed classroom, right? So that's what we do. And by the way, you can invite the parents. So, as we talk about in Thrively, it takes a village to help kids thrive. When you send this awesome profile of the child to your parent, I always keep telling schools, right? When do we send an email to every parent celebrating their kid? Whenever I used to get an email from school, oh, my kid got into trouble, I need to go to school, right? And when you're dealing with the at-risk kids, it's actually even challenging there, right? But how about sending an email to the parent? Your kid is awesome. Look at their strengths. And the parents will also start looking at a different lens, and the educators will start looking at a different lens. One report I want to show you is, if you go to the insights and look at the strength interest breakdown, this is kind of the awesome report we have in Thrively. I would brag, a little bit, saying first time in the history of education, you get to see this, your strengths, your aspirations of your kids at your fingertips. You can look at the individual classroom, and you can go all the way to your entire school and see what are the top strengths of my kids in my school, right? Flexibility, analytical, resilience. Wow, who are my analytical kids? Click on that here. Oh, Alondra, Anna, Ashley, my analytical kids, right? As a principal, as a district leader, when you walk into the classroom and then say, hey, Ashley, how are your acting lessons coming up? I know you want to become an actor. What do you think the reaction of the kid would be? Jaws drop and say, what? My parents don't know who I want to be. You know what I want to become? And we keep hearing this story day in, day out. You can transform your school. You can transform the climate and culture of your school. Just make that connection as a school leader, as a principal, as a teacher. One connection with the kid every day and 300 connections a year. The kids are happy, smiling, right? And as you can see, you can see what your kids are scoring low. Remember, we don't use the word weakness in Thrively. No kid has any weakness. What they lack is exposure, their social environment, economic environment, what kids didn't get exposed to. So this is telling your kids are not doing well in leadership or social justice. So this is telling you as an educator what content we need to bring into the classroom, what field trips we need to be planning, what electives we need to be bringing into the classroom, so that our kids will start developing these skills and these strengths and see they becoming a whole child. If all the bar starts growing, then you know that you have created a whole child, right? And that's basically what Thrively facilitates you. And by the way, if you go down, it will tell you what your kids are interested in, right? Your kid may not be doing very well in science or math and all that, but creative arts, woo, they love painting, they love fashion design, they love film making. How can you identify that here is the kid, they love robotics and digital media? And now you can create especially with at-risk kids, right? They're not social, they struggle with a lot of those things. And wow, this kid loves robotics, let me put that kid into the 4 other kids who love robotics. Let's see who others are interested in robotics. Oh, Ava, hang out with Carly, Emily, you guys all love robotics. That's it. They keep saying one good friend and one good teacher is all what is required for kids to take over their life and learning, right? And just to see, what they want to be when they what they want to be when they grow up, their aspirations and all that, and looking at, their learning styles and looking at, their habits. I call this personalization on steroids. So much information about your kid, okay, and how you as teachers and educators can start infusing that in the classroom, personalize that, connect with your kids, and make them feel special, so that hey, you can do it, but here are all the assets for you to support your growth. That's what we do in Thrively, okay? And a couple of things I just want to show you, and then hopefully open up for a few minutes of question and answers if you have it. One of the things we do in Thrively also is a lot of content in Thrively. So this is not just about assessments, obviously. So here is an example of a typical playlist in Thrively. So social emotional learning is very big now, especially with your at-risk kids, whether it is executive functioning, whether it is social emotional skills. Here is an example of a playlist in Thrively, which is a CASEL aligned playlist. If you are familiar with CASEL, which is the gold standard of SEL, talks about self-awareness, self-management. So in Thrively, we have built all the content. So providing near zero lift for the educators. We understand educators, are under stress, a lot of, things that they have to do on their plate. So Thrively actually has literally 50,000 minutes of instructional content to help your kids, so that you can work with your kids and facilitate their growth. So all the skill building, especially with at-risk kids, helping them with, as I said, executive functioning, with social skills, creativity, all that, lot of content is available to work with your kids and all that. One other feature I want to show you is their portfolio. As we talked about it, right? Their 10,000, 12,000 hours of their learning. How do we capture that? Asking a kid to create their own agency, their portfolio. They look at your face as if like you have come from Mars. With Thrively, we understand their interests, we understand their aspirations. We gave them a beautiful language of who they are. We ask every kid, hey, go tell the world how awesome you are, right? Create their own like a LinkedIn profile, put up pictures, showcase, your talent and all that. And as the kids are taking all these different assessments, they all flow into Thrively. One of the big feature in Thrively is the goal setting. So when you are working with our at-risk kids, you can set goals for them. Okay, whether it is their social emotional goal, whether they're the kid to be a productive collaborator, or helping them build their growth mindset, or in this case, the kid to be a critical thinker. You can set goals, and then you as a teacher can assign like what is that I want kids to be doing as part of the goal, and look what happens in Thrively. So then you can tell the kids, hey, go demonstrate your proof of learning, how you're becoming a productive collaborator, how you're becoming a tenacious learner, right? Developing your resilience. And what kids do is every month or every week they reflect on their learning, attach proof of evidence, which is their photo, video, audio, and then how much time they spent on it, and all that gets tracked in Thrively. So when you're working with your kids, you can say, I need to see 10 pieces of evidence of your learning, or I need to see some evidence every week, and then help kids deepen their learning, develop their mastery in that areas, right? So more pieces to that platform. So I'll again go back to summarize, what we are trying to do here. End of the day, I keep telling educators, it's not about you, it's not about parents, it's not about you, it's about the parent, it's about the kids. How do we help every child thrive in life? Okay, so it's a collaboration. I just want to kind of give you guys a quick, insight into what Thrively does. With RAPSA, and I was talking to Ernie, like when I showed Ernie the platform 3 months back. Ernie said, "Girish, you have found your community at RAPSA," which is very true. Okay, so thank you, RAPSA, for this opportunity. And again, people who are in this session, if you guys are interested in learning more about it, please reach out to us. So I have my colleague here, Jane Patterson, and myself, Girish Venkat. So Jane at Thrively.com, Girish at Thrively.com. Reach out to us anytime. We are here to support you. All we care about is not Thrively, not as a parent, not as an educator, about the kid. And we have a tremendous responsibility. We have a tremendous responsibility to help every child thrive in life. And let's do that. And let's do that. That's very important. Thank you. I don't know if any quick questions I can answer, but
yeah, we have a couple minutes. So any questions, you can unmute or you can put it in the chat.
I know everyone is going from one session to the other session, but again, as I said, we are here to support you guys 24/7. So if you need any additional information, please reach out to us, and we are here to support you guys.
Yes, and you can also find more information on the sponsors tab on Whova. So you can find Thrively there and all of their contact and their website, and even a summary if you forgot. But I want to say that this is a really cool tool. I think everything just it
Crystal, I was just watching your face. You were just smiling, and I was getting more excited about it.
Oh, well, good. Yeah, I think it helps to have somebody else with the camera on, right? But no, this is very exciting. I think this is really helpful. I'm even interested in taking these assessments because it's just like
we all want to know how awesome we are.
yeah, But yeah, right now at 1 o'clock, we do have the keynote. So everyone can move on to there if you would like. But yeah, thank you so much again for joining us. We hope that you join us next year and you can even hopefully get like a longer session, because it seems like there's so many things, more things that you still had to go over.
Thank you. Thank you.